What up? What's happening? What it do? It's your boy Big Trail, Big Trail's Vlogcast. Black undercover cop who was beaten by fellow officers wins $23.5 million.
Being brutally beaten by his own colleagues because they forgot he was undercover.
Wait, they forgot he was undercover? Okay. All right.
Randy Hayes, Dustin Boone, Christopher Myers, alleging they beat him because they thought he was a protester.
What is that?
Wait a minute. Why are we beating protesters?
Right.
It's nothing illegal.
Whoa, excuse me? Excuse me? You beat him because you thought he was a protester. Did he do anything wrong?
And
the protest ended, but they didn't whoop enough ass, basically is what happened. He probably over there by himself. It probably wasn't a bunch of people around, and they thought they can get away with it.
But the officers decided to simply single him out, beat him without provocation, and now this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as how much money is going to be paid out.
What up? What's happening? What it do? It's your boy Big Trail, Big Trail's Vlogcast. Give yourself a round of applause, please. Clap for yourself. Be your #1 cheerleader. We getting right into this. This is YouTube channel Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. And this is an update from a case that he has talked about in the past. It's called Black Undercover Cop Who Was Beaten by Fellow Officers Wins $23.5 million. Love it. I love to see corrupt cops get held accountable. Now, he's a black dude, so of course I'm rooting for him because I want to see us, get justice served. You know what I mean? I want justice to be served for us. But it doesn't matter if you're black, white. If a cop's messing with you and a cop did wrong, I'd like to see what people get paid for it. The only thing I wish is that the cops would have to pay out of pocket. You feel what I'm saying? I think if the cops paid out of pocket, and I'm just talking about corrupt cops, if they paid out of pocket, there would be less and less of this happening because it would actually affect them financially. So, all right, we're going to get right into this. Let's just see what's going on.
Undercover officer being brutally beaten by his own colleagues because they forgot he was undercover. Put up the picture full mass. This man has now been granted.
Wait, they forgot he was undercover? Okay. All right. I remember hearing about this case, but I never watched it to see what happened. But they forgot he was undercover. Okay.
$23.5 million because of police misconduct.
Yes.
In an update, Mr. Luther Hall, a former St. Louis police officer who was beaten by his own colleagues while he was working undercover during a protest in 2017, was just awarded $23.5 million by a judge, with millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable. We just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
So it took 7 years for this to occur, for him to finally get paid. This happened in 2017.
Was beaten by 3 white police officers. These are his colleagues beating him here with the St. Louis Police Department. This was during a protest, September 17, 2017, after a jury acquitted former St. Louis officer Jason Stockley of the murder charges he faced in the fatal shooting of a black man, Anthony Lamar Smith, in 2011.
I remember that.
He was walking back to police headquarters when the group of uniformed officers stopped him. Now you got to think about the irony of this. He's walking back to the police precinct. He's walking back to his job. They encountered him, told him to get on the ground and then started beating him.
Wow.
Hall claimed he was beaten like Rodney King, a black man who was jumped by a group of Los Angeles Police Department officers in 1991 after a high-speed chase. Hall was...
Hey, for the younger people, if y'all don't know the Rodney King situation, go look up the Rodney King beating. And that's when recording police really after that, that's when recording police really became famous or popular. Because now police are recorded all the time. And I know it's because of technology, but that was it right there. When that happened, you know, after that, everybody was starting to record. So that was like that jump started the whole thing.
Was kicked in the face, which injured his jaw and left him unable to eat for a time. He also suffered a tailbone injury and had to undergo surgery to repair
I know that hurt.
herniated disc in his neck.
Damn.
And in his back.
Damn.
He also developed gallstone complications, which required multiple surgeries as well. Put him up.
Damn. How do you get from a beating gallstone complications? I wonder what happened to make that happen. How does a beating, you know, relate to gallstone? Like, what did they hit to make that happen?
There they are. His colleagues. Randy Hayes, Dustin Boone, Christopher Myers, alleging they beat him because they thought he was a protester.
What is that?
Wait a minute. Why are we beating protesters?
Right.
It's nothing illegal.
Whoa, excuse me? Excuse me? You beat him because you thought he was a protester. Did he do anything wrong? Just because he's a protester, why would that deserve for him to get beat? Let's continue.
Illegal about being a protester. All right. So
Stupid.
They beat him because they thought he was a protester, and then naturally they tried to cover it up. This week's award is the result of a default judgment granted against Hayes when he failed to answer the suit. Hall's claims against Boone and Myers are still being litigated. The other two officers charged in the case were Bailey Coletta and Stephen Court.
Damn, it was 5 of them?
Coletta pleaded guilty in 2021 to lying to a federal grand jury about what she saw during the attack and was sentenced to 3 years probation. Court.
That's what I talk about. When I say you're still not a good cop if you let bad cops get away with the things. Like, you can be a cop that never hit anybody. You can be a cop that never abused anybody. But if you stand by and watch it, you're just as guilty. And I get it because they want to protect their career. So they don't say nothing. You know, they want to protect their career because they want to continue to be a cop. So I get it. But there's going to have to be some sacrificial lambs in the police department from the good cops in order to stop all this corrupt stuff from happening. Everybody's just going to have to start snitching. Everybody's just going to have to start snitching. That's it. And is it really snitching? Like, I use that phrase, but is it really snitching or is it just doing the right thing? So, like, for her, she pled guilty because she didn't say nothing. She lied about what she saw. So, like I said, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Even though she didn't physically touch anybody, she sat back, she saw something, and she didn't say anything. Guilty. Get her.
Was acquitted that same year after being accused of a civil rights violation and lying to the FBI. St. Louis Circuit Judge Joseph White awarded Hall $10 million in punitive, $11 million for past and future physical emotional pain, and $2 million for lost wages. April 15th, St. Louis Public Radio reported another $600,000 was given to Hall for lost delayed retirement, insurance benefits, and past and future medical expenses.
Crazy.
He said during an interview that he gave, the officer, this was after he's healed, he's now able to talk about it. He said the protest had actually ended. You got to catch that in his interview. He said the protest had ended, and
the protest ended, but they didn't whoop enough ass, basically is what happened. They didn't whoop enough ass, so they was like, well, let's get everybody's going home, let's get this one last one. He probably over there by himself. It probably wasn't a bunch of people around, and they thought they can get away with it.
And he was proceeding to the precinct. Protest is done. He's an undercover officer. He's there not to find protesters, to find crime, criminals. And he literally said during the interview, after the protest, there's another group of individuals who decided to start destroying property. He made it very clear. It had nothing to do with the protest. These are not protesters that we are tracking.
Yeah.
These are simply individuals who are destroying property after the protest has ended. But the officers decided to simply single him out, beat him without provocation, And now this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as how much money is going to be paid out. If he wasn't a cop, if he was not undercover, this would be brushed under the rug, as we know. Yasmin, thoughts here, the irony of it, that they beat up one of their own colleagues because they mistook him for a regular ass black man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, in a nation where police brutality specifically against black people is so rampant.
All right, so for you guys who don't really believe, there's people out there who don't believe that the cops actually do this. Cops really do this. Cops really go out and they target minorities. They target black people. They target Hispanic people. And they beat them for no reason. And when black people say that, you know, you get certain people who say, "Oh no, that ain't true. That ain't true." But you're not living that.
One of the solutions to that problem is to have more black people on police forces. Hopefully the idea is that it will ameliorate some of those instances. But even as you try to be one of them, and even if
you're still not one of them,
try to play nice with people, some people will always see you a certain way, and they will always treat you a certain way, especially when they're not fearful of consequences for doing so. And why would they be? They're used to treating black people poorly, and they're used to getting away with it. These cops also don't seem to be very bright, just like the other cop that we talked about earlier on the show, because their explanation that they thought the guy was a protester, that also made no sense.
Right.
The protester wasn't even actively protesting at the time. He wasn't being violent. He was just walking. So I'm glad that this cop is speaking out, and I'm glad that there was some kind of restitution, but you are absolutely right. If he was not a cop, if he was just any other guy, any other black man, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Yeah, and you have to imagine if they decided to just pull him to the side and beat him up for walking. They did it to other people during those days of protest. Yeah. And this had become so routine that they didn't think a second about doing it to another person. So I would never believe that this was the only time they did it, and it just happened to be an undercover cop that received the beating.
All right, well, that's it. That was quick and easy. All right, let me leave you with this question, because I know there's some people who don't believe that this happens on a regular basis. There's people who's in denial. The police can never do any wrong. All right, so for my Caucasian community, just hypothetical. If you were pulled over by the cops and you were a black person, would you feel comfortable? If you were pulled over by the police, would you feel comfortable being a black person? Just hypothetical. I'm not saying that you want to be black or anything like that, but do you think you would be 100% comfortable with being a black man getting pulled over by the cops late at night? All right. And if you answer no to that, then there's a reason why, because you know that this stuff is happening. So I just want to leave that with you. I'm not trying to race bait or anything like that. Just getting this story out because this stuff happened. So y'all have a good one. Let me know what you think down in the comments. It's your boy Big Trell, Big Trell's Blogcast. Let's get it. Get it.